One of the first people on the stand for the defense case would be Alexander Hamilton, or A.H. or Alex Hargis. We will glean from this testimony why Hargis was so angry with Marcum, why he demanded a public apology, and others would think that he was part of the conspiracy to have Marcum killed. Hargis will also testify as to the last time he spoke to Curt Jett and his knowledge of Tom White. All aboard the Kentucky-Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine, but it convinces YouTube that we need a bigger time machine to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. The defense case begins. To review, we have seen that the defense had tried to make a motion to dismiss the jury. We are not told the reason the defense gave for this motion, or if it had to do with the testimony given by Mrs. Mary Jane Marcum Johnson, who was the sister to the victim, attorney J.B. Marcum. However, they were not successful in their bid for the case to be dismissed, and the judge of the case ordered the defense to move forward. According to the Evening Bulletin, quote, Senator A.H. Hargis, one of the defendants, took the stand. Winchester, Kentucky, December 22nd. After Judge Beaton overruled the motion of the defendants for preliminary instruction and had ordered the defendants to proceed, the defense introduced Senator A.H. Hargis, one of the defendants, unquote. So first on the stand would be the Democratic Kentucky State Senator Alex Hamilton, or A.H. or Alex Hargis. Who was Senator Alex Hargis? For the first time in the case, we have a biography of sorts given by the newspaper about a witness. We are pretty sure that this was done out of respect, as he held a high political office. According to the same source, quote, he is 45 years old and lives in Clark County, but has extensive farming and mercantile interests in Breathitt. He has been school commissioner of Breathitt County and has served one term as state senator. He is a Democratic voter, his party ticket, and contributes to campaign funds, but has taken no active part in politics for years, unquote. So what we know of this sketch is that the newspaper is sort of making the claim that even though he served as state senator, he was not pulling any political strings to get out of this trial. That even though that he was a member of the defense and did file appeals, he was taking the same legal route that was available to every American citizen. Possible motive. He would testify to the following according to the same source information. Quote, he denied specifically that he had conspired with anyone to kill Marcum and had been a friend to Marcum, and when the latter came to Jackson, he had given him employment and had done all he could for him until he learned that Marcum had stated that the witness had killed Logan Cockrill, who met death when the witness was a boy. The witness told D.D. Hurst, the father-in-law of Marcum, that the latter had wronged him, and for the sake of his family, Marcum should explain or retract this statement, unquote. Okay, so who was Logan Cockrill, and how did he fit into this story? From all we can find out, the only possible person bearing the name, places, and years that fit was Elijah Logan Cockrill. We found the information about who he was from the website Civil War Governors. He was born December 4th, 1823 in Breathitt County. He served in the Kentucky House of Representatives from 1847 through 1848. Cockrill was a farmer in Estill County in 1860. He served as a judge of Estill County Court from 1848 through 1866. Cockrill died November 2nd, 1876. We could not find the cause of death in the records so far. Alexander Hargis was born August 21st, 1859. So at the time of Elijah Logan Cockrill's death, Hargis would have been 17 years old. If we have found the correct Logan Cockrill as the victim of a crime, We do not have a motive or means for Hargis to have done anything to him, even though he was old enough to do so. We think that Hargis was correct in having Hearst to send a message to Marcum to show his evidence or give a public apology for the speculation. However, a person can take that Hargis also said, quote, for the sake of his family, unquote, as a threat to Marcum, that he was getting into matters that did not concern him, and it could prove to be deadly. So, this could have been seen as a motive as to why Alex Hargis was so angry with Marcum and made as many threats against his life if the other witnesses are to be believed. Continued testimony. We will continue with the report given by the Evening Bulletin for the testimony of A.H. Hargis. Quote, the witness did not say that he approved of the killing of Jim Cockrill. Witness had no knowledge of Marcum's life was in danger and had no conversation on the subject with Mr. Marcum, Mrs. Patrick, and Mrs. Johnson, and did not tell, or either of them, that the Hargises would not kill Marcum, but that Ed Callahan would, unquote. So here we have a denial against 3 of the witnesses' testimonies. The question is, were all 3 witnesses together at one place at one time when Alex Hargis told them that the Hargis brothers would not be behind the killing of Marcum? Why would Hargis have named Ed Callahan? Was Hargis trying to lay the blame at the feet of one of his co-conspirators? Was Hargis simply telling the 3 people that he wanted a public apology for the insult and that he would be satisfied with it if Marcum relented? Hargis and Tom White. One of the last denials that Alexander Hargis would state would be Tom White. Even though he could not deny that he knew Curt Jett because he was his nephew, he stated that he had no contact with either man at the time of the killing of Marcum. According to the same source, it was reported, quote, the witness did not know Tom White until after the killing of Marcum. Curt Jett was the nephew of the witness, but the two had not spoken since Jett came to the store of the Hargis brothers in 1902, when Jett fired several shots into the ceiling and when Joe Hargis escaped to the basement to prevent being killed, unquote. Curt Jett had a hot temper and was called Mad Dog or Wild Dog by the residents of Breathitt County. We are not told why Jett fired the shots into the ceiling of the Hargis brothers' store, but that Joe Hargis was afraid for his life over the conflict. It could be possible that even though Alex Hargis did not meet with the men personally, he could have had a third party to contract the killing to allow for deniability. It also could be thought that Alex Hargis had nothing to do with the killing altogether, as he stated. We will leave these thoughts with you, our 13th juror, to decide upon the innocence or guilt of each of those that testify in this case. In our next video, we will cover the testimony of Judge Hargis. He will testify as to what events took place before, during, and after the killing of Marcum. He will also testify to his thoughts about the witnesses against him. Sheriff Ed Callahan will also testify next week. Thank you. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the Appalachian feuds. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notifications. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.